There's room for everyone. Wherever you go is wherever you're found. You are home. You are welcome here. 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 Whatever you've been through, you found us somehow. Wherever you are on your journey through now, you are home. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are so welcome. You are welcome here. You are welcome anywhere now. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Oh, you are welcome here. 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 I am welcome here. I am welcome here. I am welcome here.
You are welcome here. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. Those of you that are here in person today, it always feels great to see these beautiful smiling faces. And of course, anybody that's joining us online, we're glad you're with us as well, knowing that you can watch us over and over and over again, or watch us today or anytime in the future. And we love that you join us either on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook Live. So we are Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, and I'm Frankie, the spiritual director here. And today we dive a little bit deeper into the topic of appreciating abundance. It all fits in the year of living everyday wonder. And so the topic today is being in the flow of abundance. And Gail is assisting today, our lovely licensed practitioner. And she's going to take us through a guided meditation, which she's so gifted in that. She always takes us deeper, and so you get to experience that. And what I'm going to talk about a little bit more then is the idea of what's the etymology behind the word abundance, because I think we get confused. And how can we go back to the principle of it? Because that's what Science of Mind is about, isn't it? It's about looking at the metaphysics of the teaching, the principles of the teaching, and how they already are, but how we can be more in the flow of them, practicing them, of course, with compassion and with love and with ease and grace and patience, which we can all use more of, not just for ourselves, but for each other, right? And then this idea that the flow is an inner thing. We sometimes think that the flow of abundance is an outer thing, where something outside has to come to us. But what we learn in spiritual principle, that it's an inner awareness, an inner experience. And that's based on a very ancient wisdom practice. What I want you to know about some things that are happening here in our community is that next Sunday, Franny made this happen again. Next Sunday, we're going to do Walk for Nourish NJ again. We did that last year, and it was fun, right? Those of us that went, we had a great time. We're going to meet in Lewanika Park at 1 o'clock. There's more information in the emails that you're receiving. If you're not receiving, then let me know, and I'll connect you. But if you can't walk, our goal is to raise at least $1,000 so you can donate. Anything helps. This is a wonderful organization in Morristown that is feeding the hungry. And if you are aware at all, you know that there are many of those in the world today, but also right where we live. So come and join us for that. You get a free Got Joy t-shirt. We love free stuff. And then Gail, usually every first Friday of the month is Healing Circle. If you think you missed it, you didn't, because she's going to have Healing Circle this coming Friday at 7 o'clock. And then on the 23rd, one of our long-term members, Kate Forsberry, who has written a book called My Addicted Family, is doing a book reading and a Q&A afterwards on the 23rd. So with all these flyers over here, take a look. If you're new, sign up for our mailing list, you get a free book. And also, there is a 24-hour workshop in Maryland, and I'm going, and I have 3 spots in my car if anybody wants to drive with me, but you must sign up for that as soon as possible. I love that Lisa Ferraro is facilitating that. You'll hear her sing today, so you'll kind of get an idea how amazing she is. All right, so let's do our Namaste practice, and then we'll go into a spiritual mind treatment. I want to share something I brought from home. You can all read this, right? Yep. It says, Namaste, I honor the place in you that is the same in me. I honor the place in you where the whole universe resides. I honor the place in you of love, of light, of peace, of truth. I honor the place in you that is the same in me. There is but one Namaste. Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So put your hands together and just bow to someone and say Namaste. And as you give it, also receive it. Beautiful. And so for those of you that are online, we're so glad you're with us. Seek us out on the web, and there's all kinds of information there. And let us know you're here, make comments, make requests, use the bubbles, say hello, all that good stuff. So let's do an opening spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. I invite you to close your eyes, if that's comfortable for you, which is just a way to turn from the outer world to the inner world. From the body part to the whole. From the connection of spirit and human, spiritual and physical. And so here in the oneness of all life, we simply turn to that place within us that already knows, that already experiences truth, that already feels connected to the infinite source of divine love. And so we know that we are on this journey, whether we call it an incarnation or not, an embodiment or not, that this journey is for our awakening to these truth principles, knowing that we never fully arrive, because otherwise it could not be called infinite. And so we use the experience of the finite not to separate, to limit, or to judge, but to unify, to experience that connection in a deeper way. And today we trust that the life that we are living is perfectly conducive to this awakening and this awareness. That is worthy of celebration. And celebrate we do by means of our gratitude. And so we let our hearts fill with gratitude for this community, for this teaching, and for life. And so it is. And so it is. So, I don't know what they call this, but there's a word game, right? Where it's a word association game. So I'm going to say a word, and you're going to kind of take turns, not all at the same time, to a word that pops in your mind that associates with what I'm telling you, okay? You ready? Autumn.
Fall.
Fall. Cold.
Leaves.
Change. Pumpkins.
Beautiful.
Change. Beautiful.
Color.
Changing
Color.
colors.
Apple cider.
Yes.
Love
Okay,
apple
next
cider.
one. Love.
Joy.
Joy.
Compassion. Heart.
Compassion. Heart. Happiness.
Infinite. Peace.
Infinite. Play.
Fun. Joy.
Fun. Joy.
Peace.
Peace.
Happy.
Toys.
more.
Money, more.
Generosity.
Generosity.
Openness.
Stuff.
Openness. Openness.
Openness. Well, yes. So isn't it interesting that when we play with words and we don't think about it, but we let words come, that what is revealed is just a personal experience, a personal awareness, a personal connection. It doesn't mean it's true or not true. It's just what pops into our own minds. And when we think about abundance, most of the time we think about stuff, money, wealth. When we begin to really think about it, we realize it is much more than that. It's much bigger than that. So I want to explore that a little bit today. In the mid-13th century, the etymology of abundance meant happiness, well-being, and joy. There was nothing about money or prosperity. It meant health. And so abundance was a way of wishing well, of wishing ourselves well, of wishing each other well. There was no connection at all to the idea of wealth. And so when we think about it as a spiritual principle, because in our teaching we say abundance is just another word for God. Abundance is just an infinite principle that good is everywhere, and the infinite presence of life is everywhere present all the time within us. And so somehow we've gotten in this thing called life where we began to confuse this idea of abundance, often, not always, with stuff, with money. And so then the belief became that I don't have enough. And that belief of not having enough, not feeling like we don't have enough, becomes a block in itself. That's why we hoard. That's why we have a belief in lack and limitation. That's why we have too much stuff. I do, right? And so Raymond Charles Barker in the book The Power of Decision says, the grandeur of life is known by the few when it should be known by the many. The majority of people are half healthy, half wealthy, half happy, and half creative. That's pretty punchy in the face, right? Wow, okay. So what we discover when we think about what we teach, which we're all learning and embodying and practicing and experimenting with and questioning maybe and maybe confronted with, is this idea that there are basic spiritual principles, and why is there a connection and why is there a disconnect? And so we explore our own consciousness because we know that we're either operating on these truth principles, and in some areas that's a no-brainer, but then in some areas we struggle with it. The tendency when we struggle with it is to point fingers, right? To blame something or someone in our world. But the idea is to say, this is my awareness, it's my understanding, it's my experience. So you all received a little card, right? Who did not receive the little card? Okay, everybody got one. So I want you to write on this card today. It's for you. You're going to stick it in your pocket and take it home. It's going to be your practice. On the color side, hear me well, on the color side, you're going to write down ideas that you already heard or hear that are truth principles when it comes to abundance. Truth principles when it comes to abundance that you're hearing me say or that you hear inside your own mind, because what I say is not always what I say, it's what you hear, right? On the other side, you're going to write your limiting beliefs about that. So if I say abundance is all there is, abundance is all there is. And then on the other side, you're going to say, yeah, well, in a pig's eye, not in my life, right? So on the color side, are the truth principles. And you don't have to write them all down, just like little words that you hear, you go, oh yes, I want to remember that. On the other side, the beliefs that limit you, that you experience limitation around abundance. Maybe you already heard a few things. Okay, and we're going to work with that card, and so is Gail when she does the spiritual practice. So what we know for sure when it comes to this beautiful teaching is that abundance is our birthright. It's our true nature. It's our essence. It's what we're made of. It's what's available, right? And so the question then is, am I in the flow of that? Or am I out of the flow? And if I'm out of the flow, what is that? Because it has to be inside of me, because that flow cannot be given to you, because it already is. It must be taken. It must be accepted. And we know the way we do that is in consciousness first, right? So maybe you got a foot on that hose of flow. Maybe there's a block. Maybe there's a hole in the flow. What is it in you that blocks the flow? Much of the time it's not conscious. Because I don't know about you, but I've never said, you know, I think I'm just going to experience lack. Yeah, I'm going to just experience lack just for the heck of it. Or I'm going to walk around saying, I believe in poverty. I believe in lack and poverty and limitation. Most of us do not do it consciously. It's an unconscious belief that because of our experience of lack wants to be made conscious so that we can see and consciously step back into the flow. And so what you're really doing is on the line side, you're going to write down old beliefs that you might have about lack. And on the other side is the truth about that. If you need help later, Gail and I and even Lori can help you a little bit. If you're not sure what's on your card, check it out with us. We're happy to tell you. So last week we talked about having a greater sense of awareness about abundance, having a greater experience of appreciation and thanksgiving. So if we think about what the opposite is, the opposite of awareness is not being aware, being unconscious. The opposite of appreciation is complaining or cursing. The opposite of gratitude is unappreciation, not appreciating. So these are already three practices that invite us to open the flow to abundance, just to be aware. I mean, I can look at the trees and go, wow, look at all those leaves that are coming off the trees, that are falling down. That's an example of abundance everywhere. Appreciation just means appreciating what we do have instead of cursing what we don't. Gratitude is just being grateful for the little things and the big things. That's why I pray before every meal. I'm like, thank you, God, for this food on my plate so that my body may be nourished. I'm very aware that some people don't get to have that in a whole day. And does that break my heart? Yes. But my appreciation for the food in front of me changes that, because that makes me part of a bigger experience that is taking place. I'm going to come back to that. So it's an attitude then, right? Are we in the flow of abundance? Is that your attitude? Or is your attitude maybe more about focusing on lack, complaining about not having enough? Whether it's money, or food, or love, or gratitude, or work, or whatever it may be, because remember, abundance is about well-being. It's not limited to anything material, just. And so what we discover then, that it's a matter of consciousness. So somebody might say to me, well, easy for you to say, what about poverty? This is what I know about poverty, is that poverty is an effect, not a cause. What I also know is that it's a very complex topic that's very difficult to unpack because there's many layers to it, whether it's discrimination, racism, cultural, governmental, whatever those layers may be, and I'm not really talking about that today because I'm really wanting to bring it back to the basic principle of truth behind the effect, behind the condition, which asks of us not just to heal within ourselves, but then to be the presence of that healing in the world where it's needed the most. That's why you serve. That's why you give. That's why you walk the walk for Nourish NJ. That's why you donate to certain causes. Because what happens is that as we heal that separation from that principle within, it begins to show up in the world around us, and we become an instrument for healing in the world where we're called to participate and to give back. There is no room for shame or fear or guilt there, because that's just an example of the lack of abundance, of not being in the flow. You get it? You with me? Yeah. And so we ask ourselves, if abundance is my inherent birthright and my consciousness is the key, then where in my consciousness is there room for me to open my mind, open my heart, heal my limiting beliefs, and be of service in the world for others? And so we get to be a more conscious being and truly be in the principle that we teach. Because we can always ask the question, what principle have I not yet embodied or lived? Because it's just wanting to be lived when we're aware of it. That's all it is. When we have the awareness, something wants to be lived, right? And so the most basic, simple principle that has carried us to becoming the Science of Mind teaching, becoming Centers for Spiritual Living, the most basic principles whose thread is through all different religions and spiritual teachings. The most ancient principle is the principle that says, as within, so without. Boy, do we fight with that one. Unconsciously, because it's the truth. It's the truth of our being. And we forget all the time. We fight with it, we struggle with it, we limit it, we overthink it. But that's the invitation when it comes to truly understanding the principle of abundance and truly experiencing it. As within, so without is about the fact that it's already a true principle within our consciousness. It's built in, it's part of our spiritual nature, it's part of our divine consciousness. Because we don't believe that God or universal consciousness is out there somewhere, it's within us. And then it's about living that, right? But then it's also saying, well, if that's true, as within, so without, then let me use the without as a mirror of what wants to be welcomed, accepted, practiced, lived, embraced. And I think it's really important that we keep it really simple. Because I don't know about you, but I can make something so complex that I walk away from it, right? And so it's keeping it really simple. So how do we do that? How do we keep these ancient wisdom principles? Because we know that the Science of Mind is nothing new. Ernest Holmes says that none of this is new. These are all ancient revelations that I've just put in a package called the Science of Mind. But I didn't think of it, I didn't invent it, it's already there. He just distilled it in a way that becomes more simple, maybe not easy, more graspable, more livable, more commonsensical, right? And so there's three things that I want us to practice more of, which is to just keep connecting with the source. Keep connecting with the source. When you're stuck in a limiting concept, kind of say, what would God say to me right now? What would love say? What would true abundance say? What would perfect health say? To begin to listen to that wisdom voice that is already within us. Return to the source over and over and over again. And then bless that. Oh, I'm so grateful that there's a principle, that there's a teaching that teaches this and helps me understand it in a deeper way so that it can become part of my day-to-day experience. And then the second thing that we want to do is clear our consciousness of the places where we are blocked. You might say, I don't know where I'm blocked. Yes, you do. You feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it all day long. If you tune into your feelings, to your gut, and you notice what you're feeling, it's connected to a belief, a thought. Explore the thought, bring it back to the source, accept the truth, and you do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you notice a difference. And you kind of go, oh, wow, I had a shift in consciousness. I didn't fibble over the tip to the waitress. Or I found an unexpected $100 bill. Or I realized how loved I am, how blessed I am, how abundant I am. I realize how grateful I am to live in a healthy body, to have available to me the things that I need. Those things will become more a part of our day-to-day thinking. And then that requires us to choose. So when you go to your card over the next few weeks, just keep it so simple that you can say, I can choose. I think I'm going to choose this side. Knowing that if you don't choose the side of the truth principles, you're choosing the other side. It's becoming consciously aware that abundance is actually a choice. So is lack. And then the last thing is share. So connect to the source. Remember to stay connected. Clear your consciousness. Choose. And then the third one is share. Share this. Don't you want the whole world to know about this teaching? Why are you not telling people? Not saying you aren't. Share it. Share it from your heart. You don't have to give anybody a lecture. You don't have to convince or convert anyone. Just share it. You know, I practice this teaching and it's really fabulous and it's healed some things in me. And we have a community. Come, just come sometime. Share it with others. Why are you withholding that? Is a question we can ask ourselves, right? That is usually a limiting idea which blocks the flow, right? And so what we get to do is we get to remember that we can share our hearts quietly or out loud. We can share the teaching, we can share the website, we can share the YouTube video, we can share our abundance. I mean, I think a lot is asked of us now. I get asked every day to make a donation. And most of the time I say yes. Why not? The more I share, the more I receive. There's lots of places I can share. Many of you may know that Reverend Sidney Williams, who's the minister of the AME Church, his whole house burned down. They have nothing. He took his iPad, didn't even have his glasses, and put a t-shirt on. So they started a GoFundMe page, and within minutes, there was a large amount of money. Just one little example. They're the community that run the soup kitchen in Morristown. They received that $1,000 check from us a few months ago when Michelle came here and received it, remember? So there's so many ways, but we have this tendency to say, well, I don't have enough to give. Well, you have $1. Give $1, right? It's not so much about what we give, but the energy of how we give. And then we love. Love is a form of abundance. Is there somebody in your life that you've been withholding your love from? Yes. Love them anyway. And notice how that opens the flow of abundance. Because love and abundance are synonymous in our teaching. And then serve. Serve. There's so many ways to serve, right? Pick up garbage that you see lying at your feet in the street. Help someone in a grocery store. Serve in a different community. Walk with us for Walk for Nourish NJ on Sunday. There's so many ways that we can help. And as we do, as we give,
So we receive.
we receive. That's the basic principle, yes. So use your card this week, and Gail is going to infuse it a little bit more with some experience so that you can really take it to a feeling level. But first, let's listen to a little bit of beautiful music that I want you to take into your heart as a reminder that gratitude is a spiritual practice. Okay?
Because the ground holds up my feet, because the stars shine down on me, for all of this and so much more, I am grateful, because there's air for me to breathe. I give my thanks
take the wisdom from Reverend Frankie's talk this morning and make it into a personal experience, a deep personal experience where we get to use whatever limiting belief or feeling or experience that has interfered with your flow of abundance and take that into an experience of a deeper appreciation and realization of the abundance that is already available to you. So I invite you, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes, get comfortable, feel your feet on the floor, and just breathe. And just allow the breath, just allow that infinite supply of the breath to flow through you. And notice as each breath comes in, how it flows into your lungs and creates an expansion, creates an inner expansion. Breathe it in. Expand. Let's breathe it in again. Expand the lungs. Breathe it in again. And notice how it changes how you feel in your body when you breathe in consciously. When you take that conscious breath that expands the givingness of God within you. And now as you're breathing it in, allow yourself to consider that thought, that phrase, that feeling, that experience that you wrote down on your card or that is occurring to you now. That interfered with your flow of abundance. Bring that experience now into your heart. Bring that awareness of what is infringing on your experience of abundance and allow it to just rest there. Just allow it to rest there. Because we don't need to do anything about our limiting beliefs. We need to allow that abundance and grace of God to dissolve it. And so allow that belief, don't fight with it, don't argue with it, don't try to get rid of it, just let it be. Let it occupy your heart, let it sit there and just notice it. And now allow yourself to take a deep, conscious breath, expanding your lungs and moving into your heart. And as it moves into your heart, allow that infinite breath that you are given without even thinking to dissolve that thought, that feeling, or that experience of lack, unworthiness, and just allow. Now exhale. Breathe in again. And know that infinite supply is just flowing through you. Into your lungs, down into your heart, dissolving and freeing you of that infringement on your abundance. And exhale. And notice as your breath gets fuller and deeper, the clarification that occurs. in your consciousness, breathing it out, and now consciously bringing in the breath to expand your abundance, to expand what is already your birthright. And as you let it expand, it can't help but emanate from you. So the flow of this abundance that comes into your breath, that fills you up, becomes the expression of abundance that you are. It's only one thing. It is only the flow of abundance. It is only the flow of God's givingness. So consciously revel in that. Consciously commune with that experience. Let the cells of your body all awaken to the abundance of the divine intelligence in them. Let that flow of divine abundance create for you perfect health. Create for you infinite vitality. Create for you absolute, joyful prosperity. And as you breathe it in, know that your cells are taking this up. Your cells are listening to you. Your cells are always listening to you. And they are always doing exactly what you tell them to do by your thoughts. And when you couple your thought with the experience and the feeling of abundance, your cells can't help but teem with the vibration of joyful abundance that flows through you, that emanates from you, that becomes, as Reverend Frankie says, as within, so without. So there is this seamless flow of the divine love abundance that just flows through you and just emanates from you. And so it's easy and effortless then to give of yourself because you're given to. You're given to. Because you're given as an expression of God. You're given as one who is a beneficial presence in this world. And in this way, you just relax. And now notice how differently your body feels. And I invite you, if you feel comfortable, to place your hands on your heart and just take a breath. Knowing that this is the breath that dissolves all interference of anything that gets in the way of your abundance. This breath that is available to you each and every moment of your life and that you have access to. And so now you can consciously access it, knowing it's dissolving all the blocks, resistances, old ideas, and bringing you into the new paradigm of infinite abundance. And when you feel ready, I invite you to take another deep breath. Feel yourself seated again or standing wherever you are, and just bring yourself to the room where you are. And when you feel ready, open your eyes. And let's just know that this abundant universe is everywhere present, as within, so without. And so what we give, we receive. What we know, we become. And so we are knowing now our abundance. We are knowing our abundance as individuals and as individuals in spiritual community. And we are knowing this abundance for ourselves and for our community. So this is the time of our sacred giving. This is our time of our conscious giving, where we tap into the infinite resources within us, giving to ourselves first and then extending that to our spiritual community. whatever we feel moved and ready to share. Be it financial, be it in service, be it in welcoming people into our community. I invite you to give from that place of fullness, to give from that place where we know it's infinite and it's always given. And so if you give financially, you are welcome to give at our website, www.cslmorristown.org. You can text to give. We have a love offering basket. And any way that you feel moved to return to us, we continue to return to you. And so it is. And so now, let us hear some music.
No closing treatment.
Closing treatment. We are in sync.
Yep.
And so right here and right now, I know that the divine abundance that has flowed through this service is continuously circulating through each and every one. It is a divine circulation. It is an infinite givingness that is God's joyful, graceful service to itself throughout all of humanity. And I know that this morning we have had an experience of abundance, the wisdom of abundance, the practice of abundance, the sharing of abundance that has been perfect for each one of us. And so I say thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this time together, for all that is becoming, all that ever shall be. And please join me in saying, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.